As I welcome you to my channel, a Tesla Model S has come to us with an insulation problem. Model S 13-year-old with a problem on isolation. Her resistance in the monitor jumps from 40 kilos to 600. Sometimes it jumps up to 1500. Remove the battery by battery. Obvious defects. There is no call on, it is clear the contacts are open. But, you never know, it happens that burnt contacts. Resistance. 49 in a flash, here, 250 in a flash. The axles are measured on these tires, then 107, 160 kilometers and the same thing. But the second wife is 170 kilometers away. So now the first. In order not to do this, flip the wires from the motor inverter and see if the resistance decreases or increases or not. To exclude the motor itself. But there is also allegedly already changed the car, traveled a little, and stopped driving again. What kind of silence will I dare? 6 in a flash, Yashina pressed 180 kilos. We have problems with the motor, and there is condensate on the lid. But it is of course generally filled completely in antifreeze. A drop of antifreeze is flowing hanging blue. Yes, well, in short, it is necessary to remove the motor. They gave the removal of the motor. The rear stretcher was removed. Now we are going to remove the motor, and here you can see how there's already a whale of a growth on this, in the wound of the shaft rotation sensors. And here everything is filled with antifreeze. We will shoot and watch. Let's hope that there is no production on the rotor shaft, and we will do without grinding. Spraying. But it will already be seen when we disassemble it with him, besides stalactites of 1. Before the anti-crisis corrosion has gone for a long time. So interesting. But it's good that the father's car was taken, that the payment has not collapsed yet. So it will all need to be blown up dried. So let's check now. The resistance is 130 kilos the mind, and the tension is not growing much. We set 500 volts, 210 20 40 kilos of so now we unscrew the chassis. And then let's see this short circuit occurs in this part, or in the motor. I understand that there is even someone who put a seal on her own, that the motor was not hidden. You were health to these people there. The condenser, and everything is wet there. The shutters are not so blue. We do not impose ourselves with measuring. They are there. Well, there is plastic to protect the Galatian. 4 megawatts were valued at once. But it would be enough that the Vari machine did not fall out. Well, of course, that there is a need to wash everything, which is possible for the initiative, and You are mine. There are all kinds of antifreeze hits, but another thing confuses that everything is rusty. Everything is that the car drove on nin antifreeze, and on the water it radiated everything. And now, it will be necessary to have the development on it visually, but this is still being cleaned with sandpaper. And let's see if there is a deep development there, then we will have to grind it on Paul. And as a souvenir, here's what's inside the lubricant mixed with antifreeze. So okay, let's continue to disassemble everything rusty. Dachshund's face not killed, covered, not from seeds, no noise sprint described in the center. But he's a condensate, you see, he's a droplet of general hanging, not a solo blue color, but there's too much white condensate. Yes, he should have already done it himself. But so you disassembled the bearings you sent, cleaned the rotor a little, and saw that there was a workout here. It is large enough, and the output is not so much with the ends to how much from corrosion it is to radiated, and therefore it will need to be sanded here, and we will see if we can take out the permissible gap. Therefore, the diameter will come out, or you will have to spray it here, and grind it to a standard size, and the bearings will both be replaced naturally by the oil seal. Well, everything else will need to be washed out, and see if we can revive it with this engine, or if somewhere the moisture has gone deep down. Because everything is flooded here, everything is carded. This is the kind of trouble that happened with this motor. We will grind and carry out all the work on the rotor, which it is clear that everything will turn out fine without any problems. We will first try to dry the stator winding, and let's see if we can achieve good insulation resistance or not, or if we have to change the motor here. So let's start from the beginning with washing and drying the stator. The stator winding is going to be dried now, and we will periodically check it, and we washed it first with alcohol. And now we evaporate it, I dry it so that it will be soon, and let's see it was increased for resistance. And then, Venice will have to clean the insides of these ones, remove the corrosion, and blow out with varnish. But how can I check the battery is hermetically sealed, under I go out there with them? It immediately descends, but, if there is a residual pressure now, it means that the battery is sealed, the valves are not poisoned yet. A good indicator for the battery, after a whole day of drying, antifreeze begins to appear again in the morning, with all sorts of mud flows, due to the capillary. They are starting to rise, and the resistance today is still too low, 600 km shows, so instead of that motor, they brought us another one. There is no production here. And here in this motor, there is another problem that we face in the tests. This is the production on the faces, the production on the rotor itself, and the production on the slots inside the gearbox itself. Now we will think about what to do with it. Most likely we will do with 2 motors. Take one from the starter. We will take the box with you of the motor, and thus we will get out of the situation. But first we will coordinate all this now with the owner of the car, so both engines. Already on the operating table, we will now disassemble dictate them from 2, to assemble 1 here. We have a punched starter winding punched here, one from the starter is whole, but the problem is the clock has already shown everything. Now, we will now disassemble from 2 motors to assemble 1. As 1 motor 2 was taken away while we are disassembling, this is exactly what we need to change here, the primary shaft. Because, on this primary shaft, there is a development on the motor, or rather a development on the slots where it connects to the motor. Now it will all need to be here, on a magnet with a spoon, there is a little bit of it all will need to be called. And now against who they are, which of them what will be better on board, and we will play. In it, of course, the rotor will have to be put this one. No, we will first disassemble it, and if it would be possible to assemble it from 2-1, then we will repair this part under the oil seal. So disassembled both motors. Here is this motor. Here, you can see that the oil seal is all in a compressed rank. This is just the one that was broken slots, and here you can see how they are what kind of elevator. But the motor that has a good slot is practically there. There is no, and here, almost half a tooth end. Here, if we compare the 2 primary shafts, I will now dedicate. Which faces are here, and which ones are here, so everything else in the engines is normal so. It is possible in principle to replace only the primary shaft, and leave all gears with 2 gearboxes, of which this rotor is, for who this rotor is original. And to continue to collect it, saying not to continue to collect, and start only nay. We will now coordinate the restoration of this place after all. Let's see how much we will remove by grinding, if the oil seal holds. We will not be guided, if we do not hold it ourselves, we will have to spray it. We will also immediately change these ceramic bearings here, of course, 2 ceramic ones here. Bearings and Teflon oil seal, we have them already ready. Here they are. The Teflon oil seal has been modified and the bearings. By the way, This is how the oil pump looks like, which is located in the gearbox, and it rotates through this plastic gear. There are 3 rotations here. The nozzles that supply the lubricant to the friction steam are such as an oil intake and a magnetic filter. Unfortunately, we still have these grooves left, so when we come, we have to spray it. It didn't work out just by grinding. To clean it means we will spray it and polish it again so well. Finally, we took the rotor from our partners who attacked it and now we are giving it to grinding, and we will have a nominal size, and the oil seal will go. This spraying works well. It also works well on camshafts and on the crankshafts. The necks are sprayed, and under the oil seal, and under the liners. And there has long been used this method of restoring shafts, in particular on internal combustion engines. And for several years now, they did it with a spray on their hands. So all this is already a slot 0 from above lean around grinding machines. Now we will do the western part here, so that the oil seal does not damage the strip during installation. We will remove everything and there will be no need to assemble the rotor. Here is such a repair of the electric motor we had over. If it is interesting, then somehow in the future, I will show how the slot is restored. The part when it wears out from hours is for example on the example of 2 motors where the slot is erased, and on the primary tour of Stuart, the slot is also likely to be given for restoration and if you write in the comments that it was interesting, I will definitely make a video on restoring the spline part. Since the shaft rotor is already ready for dust or your live analysis, now the nominal size of the oil seal will work here. Without any problems, it will not be glorified, and now it remains only to assemble this motor. I will not shoot the assembly anymore, because I already had videos on my channel where we assembled a Toyota Mercedes motor. The motor is therefore basically the same. There are no differences here, but write in the comments if it is interesting. I will definitely make another video on the restoration of the spline part. Just in the near future, perhaps we will do this. I will make a video of how we restore the slot part, so subscribe to the channel and leave comments for now to everyone. By the way, Happy New Year to everyone. This video will be released in 2021, so Happy New Year to everyone. I wish happiness, health, good luck, a lot of money for now. By the way, have you ever seen a battery with a first-generation Tesla Roadster like this? It looks like the elements are the same as on the Tesla Model S. On the 1850 elements, there are 9 consecutive. The connections are very interesting cooling design. These are the tubes like this, and each of these highways, despite the fact that the coil is connected here, but the snakes go through 2 channels, one is responsible for cooling. The other one is for heating. In addition, in each element there is either a jumper like this, or a fuse, and the elements in the car are in exactly this position. They do not lie under the bottom, but are located in this position, and the BMS board is located in this position. It was taken from this part here. It comes in and is fixed. Here are the elements. We have brought them to us now, so that we will now check the capacity of these elements. We have already checked one element, they're 149 ampere hours, and at a voltage here, let's say 3747. Then we turned on. Everywhere, but the voltage is about the same everywhere. The capacity is 149 ampere hours, and here come the power plus tires. Minus, and then, you need to connect sequentially with each other.